Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Marion Crochets. My name is Marion, and in today's video, we are going to learn how to make this beautiful wrap top. I love the sleeves so much, and I think they add a whole personality to the top. And I also fancy the fact that you can wear the top in two ways, with the front at the back and vice versa. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new, consider to subscribe to the channel, like, share, and even leave a comment down below telling me what you like the most about this top. Welcome. So basically, this is how the top looks like. It has this beautiful sleeve. It's a puff sleeve, and I introduced this strap to make it gathered on the wrist area. And then for the panels, this is the back panel and the two front panels. As we construct the top, we will begin from the back panel, work the front panels, work the straps, and then start working the sleeve. This is how they both look like. So for the sleeve, we used the treble crochet, and the rest of the top uses double crochets. These are the materials that we are going to be using during this tutorial, okay? So I have my darning needle, and I will use this to weave in ends once I'm done with my project. I have my stitch markers to mark my stitches as I go. I have a pair of scissors, which is important to cut the yarns once I'm done with my project. This is very important. This is a measuring tape, and I'm going to use this all through the project for taking measurements here and there as I construct the top. For my yarn, I am using this yarn from, it's called Papatia Love. It is 100% acrylic. I got this from Osona Yarns. It is 100% acrylic. It recommends a 3mm crochet hook, and I have exactly that. I have my 3mm crochet hook. This is 360 meters, which equates to 393 yards. And yeah, if you have any DK weight, you can use that. But for me, this is the yarn that I am using. For my project, I ended up using 4 complete balls, and it was safe to get 5 because for the first very last row of my sleeve, I used some from this 5th ball. So depending on your tension, I recommend that you get 5 balls. It's safer to have more than to be sorry. Once you have all your materials and tools ready, let us get right into the video. So we're going to be starting our project with the back panel, and for this we will use our bust measurements divided by 2. My bust measurement is 34, and so I'll be using 17, which is 34 divided by 2. Now I'm going to make a chain, and I just made a slip knot. So to make a chain, we are going to be yarning over and pulling through the previous loop like this. So I'm going to be yarning over and pulling through, yarning over and pulling through, and I will use my measuring tape to get to know how many inches I have done. I encourage you to give it a light stretch. Don't just measure exactly, because usually yarn stretches and we do not want to have our project being baggy and hanging on our bodies. I intend for this to be a very fitting top, especially at the waist area and the bust area. So I'm gonna chain this until I get a total of 17 inches when stretched. So as you work your project, always give it a light stretch on your measuring tape as you go along. You see, this is a bit more, considering when I give it a stretch, it gets to 20. I am going to undo a number of chains so that I have exactly 17 when stretched. So I'm going to work with this. And now to work, we are going to start working double crochets to work the next row. So I'm going to yarn over and then count 1, 2, 3, and in the fourth I will put a double crochet in there. So to do a double crochet, you insert your hook in that in the fourth chain, and then you can yarn over and pull through. You will notice that you have 3 on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the 2, and then yarn over, pull through the remaining 2. Let's do that again. You will yarn over, go into the next loop like that, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and do another, because these double crochets are going to follow each other like that. So I'm going to do these double crochets until I get to the end of the row. Okay, now once you're done with your row, this is what you should be having. And we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then turn our work. And as soon as we turn, we're going to yarn over and go on top of the second double crochet and do a double crochet. So you yarn over, pull through, you have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2, and then you yarn over and continue working these double crochets on top of each and every double crochet until we get to the end of the row. So I've been working the row and I'm left with 2 stitches. I'm going to put a double crochet on top of this double crochet here. And then remember, when we were turning, when we began, we have this turning chain here. So we are going to place a double crochet on top of it also. So this is what you should be having. And now I'm going to chain 2, turn my work, okay, and continue working a double crochet on top of each and every double crochet. So we are going to do this row. It's just a 1 row repeat where we are chaining 2 and turning and working a double crochet on top of each and every double crochet. And don't forget to put a double crochet on top of the chain 2 that we're doing when we are beginning the row. And we will do this until you have the length from down here all the way to the armhole. Then we will meet and start working the armhole together. So I'm going to do this off camera and then we will meet in a few. I've been working and I have a total of 8.5 inches. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. A total of 24 rows. And now we want to work the armhole, and this is how we will go about it. You're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to do slip stitches, a total of 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And once we get at the 4th, this is where we want to now start working double crochets, and we will leave this part out as a cutout for the armhole. actually I want to make the 5th one so that my my double crochet starts from this row, from this stitch. So 1 2 3 4 5. I'm going to leave 5 stitches out, and on the 6th, that is where we are going to start working double crochets. I have chained 2, and now I'm going to start working a double crochet on top of each and every double crochet until I have 5 stitches left out on this other side. So 1 2 3 4 5. I'm going to place a stitch marker on this stitch right here so that I know that is where we're going to stop. Okay, so I'm going to work these double crochets until I get to this part. So I have worked the double crochets until this point where we have our stitch marker, and this marks the 5 stitches that we are leaving out. Okay, so I'm going to continue working this part until I have 6.5 inches. So 6.5 and 8.5, that will give me 15 inches. I want my top to be exactly 15 inches long. So to continue, I'll be chaining 2, turning my work, and going into the next double crochet and working a double crochet there. And I will work these double crochets down the row until I have the equal number, and then continue until I have 6.5 inches. So continue working this, and we'll meet up once we are done, and then we'll start working the front panel. I'm done with shaping the armhole, and I have a total of 16 rows at this point. And now we want to start working the front panel, and it will be worked on this very back panel. So before we continue, we need to do a little bit of calculation. I want my shoulder seam to be 3.5. That is why I have marked right here 3.5 inches. And now you'll have to transfer the same information to the other side. That is why I also have a stitch marker over here to show where my 3.5 ends, and you can actually count the number of stitches. I have 18 on this side, and I have counted 18 on this other side. The remaining part, which is going to be the neckline, is going to be 6 inches, so that actually fits in my frame very well. Rather, it fits right. So I have 6 inches for the neckline, and the shoulders are going to be 6 inches each. So this is the shoulder seam, this is the shoulder seam, and this is the neckline. Now to begin, we are going to chain 2, 1 2, and we're going to mark this part so that, okay, it is going to be defined, because we will just complete the row at this point where we marked. But it won't hurt if we marked to know exactly, because we are going to be counting, and the number of rows that are here are gonna be equal just before we add these stitches to continue with the rest of the row. So this part is going to be straight, and we are starting it from here. So we will chain 2, turn our work, and continue working double crochets. So I'll start on top of the next stitch, and the next, and the next, until I get to where I have marked with a stitch marker. Okay, so as soon as we get to the part where we have marked, we will insert that stitch right there and get rid of the stitch marker. And then now we are going to chain 2, turn our work, and from this point we are going to start increasing. We will be increasing because remember it's a wrap top. We'll be increasing on this side so that our one side of our top comes like this. Okay, so I'll start putting an extra stitch on this first double crochet. So I will yarn over, insert a double crochet on top of the very first double crochet, this one right here. We will do our double crochet right there, and then continue working double crochets in one on top of each and every stitch until I get to the end of the row. And remember, on this side we are not increasing because we want it straight, because that's where our armhole is. So if you had 18 stitches like me on the previous row, on this one we have 19. Then we are going to work, I'm remaining with 2 double crochets. So I'm going to place one on this stitch, and then on top of chain 2 we have to insert a double crochet right there. Okay, so this is the second row of the front panel. We are going to chain 2, turn our work, and insert a double crochet on top of each and every double crochet until we get to the end, and that's where we will increase also. So we're not increasing on this side at all. We're gonna let it be straight, but we will increase towards the end of the row. So you're going to work this until you have 2 stitches left, and that's where we will do our increase before we complete the row. So right here, just before you end your row, I have 2 stitches left. I'm going to do 2 double crochets on this second last stitch. So 1 and 2. And then don't forget we have this chain 2 and it needs a double crochet. So we are completing the row that way. And to begin the next row, we are going to chain 2, turn our work. Once you turn your work, because this is the increased side, we are going to place a double crochet on top of that very first double crochet to mark an increase. Okay, and then we will continue working 1 double crochet on top of each and every double crochet. So if you look here clearly, you will notice that our work has started to slant towards this side, and that is what we want. Okay, so I'm going to continue working this until we get to this point, and I'll let you know how we are going to increase and get to the original size of the top after working the side seam right here for the armhole. This is where we are so far. The part where we're increasing has started to actually show and to form the slant. Nice. So the straight edge, we have come to the part where we had our cutout, and we are going to add those 5 stitches. Remember, we left out the 5 stitches, so I am going to add 5 stitches, 1 2 3 4 5, and then add 2, which is our turning chain, like that. So once I have that, all I'm gonna do is just count 1 2 3, and in the 4th I will do a double crochet. So that means we have 2 double crochets, the turning chain and the first double crochet, so we have 2, and then work another in the next 3, work another in the next 4, and then the 5th one will be right here. So after that we have completed the missing, so to speak, the missing stitches, the add-ons that will form that part, and then we will go back to our original pattern and start working double crochets all across until we get to the part where we are increasing, because from here downwards we are going to still increase on the parts where we were increasing, and maintain the straight edge on this seam line, because this is going to be the side seam. Okay, so I will keep putting two double crochets at the end and two double crochets as I begin. So that means we are increasing until we get to the bottom of this top. So this is what you should be having. So after completing that next row, this is what I have. And I now want to maintain the straight edge on this side and then continue with the increases on this side until I get to the end of the row. Just ensure that the number of rows on the front panel are equal to the number of rows on the back panel, and you will continue. You will start counting from this part for both. You see, we have also marked on this other side, and you will count from here and just ensure you have the same number of rows on both panels. Now I'm done with all 40 rows on both sides, and this is how this slanting side looks like, and this is how the side looks like. So now that we're here, we're going to do this side seam up to this point, and this is the remaining piece of yarn that I have, and I will use it to do my side seam. So we will just insert this hook on this side and do a chain one, and then I'm going to do 2 single crochets in each and every double crochet row. So everywhere it gets 2 single crochets. Make sure you're working on the wrong side. Make sure you're working on the wrong side. So we're going to insert 2 single crochets like that, and also make sure you're getting both panels. Okay, I'm gonna do that until I get to the end, and this is the end I'm talking about right here. So I'm done with the side seam, and this is how the right side looks like. I made sure that my rows are aligning properly, and yeah, this is what you should have. I still want to go further and do a row of single crochets alongside this armhole. So I will chain 1 over here and then work single crochets. So I'll put a single crochet on each and every stitch on this part, the 5 that we had left out, and then once I get to this part, to this side where there's rows instead of stitches, I'm going to do 2 single crochets in each and every row. So I'll place 2 single crochets here and 2 single crochets in each and every row. So every row gets 2 single crochets, and remember we're working on each side of it, not them together the way we've been doing for the side seam. This is just to ensure that our sides are clean and ready for the sleeves. Okay, so I'm going to do this all around, and then once I get to this part I will cut my yarn. So as soon as you're done with the single crochets, you are going to do a slip stitch on top of the very first single crochet that we did on this other side. and chain 1. So at this point we are done with this part, and the next thing that we're going to do is attach our yarn on this other side here and work the exact same panel with the increases and everything, so that you have 2 panels on the front side and the back panel. And then when we meet, we will work the sleeves. We'll work the sleeves and then attach the straps over here. Okay? I went ahead to complete the second panel, and this is how the two look like at the moment. And now I want to show you how I attached one of the straps, because that is the next thing that we are doing. And if you look closely, you can see my strap is sort of slanting at this point. So I worked a total of 7 double crochets here, but the last 2 are, I did reduce in this double crochet and this one. Let me just show you how I went about it on this other side. Okay, so you're going to insert your hook right here, and then you will make a slip knot and bring your loop on your work like this. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then in this row I'm going to do 2 double crochets in there, and 2, and then go to the next row and work 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and then go into the next and work 2 double crochets, 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are going to reduce on this one, and then the next also we shall reduce right there. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, I'm going to chain 2, turn my work, and then reduce in the next stitch, and then continue working 1 double crochet on top of each and every double crochet, and make sure the chain that we started with also gets a double crochet. And then from here henceforth we're going to be placing one double crochet on top of each and every double crochet. 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th double crochet. So I'm working with 6 double crochets until I have a strap long enough to work with the top. So if I do compare with the other strap that I already made, I did a total of 120 rows to achieve the length that I desired for my top. Okay, so work with your tape measure and work a strap long enough that will suit you. But I'm going to go offline, off camera, and work this part until I have 2 identical straps. And then once I'm done with this part, we will gather around and do the sleeves together. So this is where we are so far. We are done with the front panels, the back panel, and we have done the straps. I hope you're liking your work and it's as neat as mine. I want to encourage you to be cutting the yarns as you go along so that your work remains as clean as possible. Some people might want to stop here, but I want to do some sleeves because I know the sleeves are going to add so much personality to the top, and that is most definitely what I'm going for. So to do the sleeves, we are going to attach our yarn from this seam, the side seam right here. That is where we will attach the yarn. So you make a slip knot and insert your hook right here, make it tight, and let us begin doing the stitch. So at this point we are going to be doing the treble stitch, and to do this we will start by chaining 4. And once you have your chain 4, we are going to now start working a treble stitch. And to do this, we will be yarning over twice. Remember, for a double crochet, we usually yarn over just once. But since this is a treble crochet, we will yarn over twice. And then insert your hook in the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. You will notice that you have 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on your hook. You will yarn over and pull through the first 2, and then yarn over and pull through the next 2, yarn over and pull through the remaining 2. You have created your first treble crochet. And since we want this top to be puffy, I want to do 2 treble crochets in this stitch. So I'm going to yarn over twice and then insert my hook in this same stitch, yarn over and pull through. I have 4 on my hook, yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through the remaining 2. Now I will yarn over twice, and once we have the 2 in the previous stitch, the following stitch will only have 1 stitch. So I will yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2. We are done with that stitch. We will yarn over again and go to the next stitch and work 2 treble crochets in there. So the pattern is we are doing 2 treble crochets in 1 stitch, and then the next stitch gets 1, the next will have 2, the next will have 1, and we will do that all around this armhole until we get to the part where we just started from. So far, this is how your work should be looking like. So just remember, we are alternating between 2 and 1, 2 and 1. Now once you get to the very last, you have your very last stitch, you will slip stitch on top of this chain 4, slip stitch right there to mark the end of the row. So this is how our first row appears. It's a beautiful stitch, and now we want to begin the next row. To do this, we will chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Always chain 4 when you're beginning your rows, and then you yarn over twice. And now we'll start placing a single crochet. Actually, start from this very first stitch. We will start placing a single treble crochet, just one in each and every, on top of each and every stitch. So the previous one we were alternating between 2 and 1, 2 and 1, but on this second, all through towards the completing of the sleeve, we will be placing one treble crochet on top of the previous stitch until we complete our sleeve. So just remember, we are yarning over twice to achieve the complete stitch. Okay. I went ahead to complete my sleeve, and this is a total of 34 rows of treble crochets, and these 34 rows are giving me 20 inches. So I have put it on, and 20 inches is just sitting right on me. So we want to make something like this to cinch up this area, the wrist, and to do so I have made single crochets, and I'm going to use these single crochets. So I've made, this is just a chain. Instead of it being this thin, I'm gonna go back on it with single crochets so that my band is a little thick. You see how this one appears? I'm working on something like this so that it's not just thin. Okay, so we'll tie it like this to cinch up our wrist, and it actually introduces a stylish way of finishing the sleeve. As you can see, this other sleeve is very, very wide, and I don't think this is very flattering. This, however, looks so good, and you will see how it appears on me. Once you're done with your strap, you are going to lace it up in this darning needle, and this is how I'm going to use it to put it inside the stitches. Okay, so I'm going to be taking 2 stitches up, 2 down, 2 up, 2 down, like this, and then I pull, and then I go to the next 2 up, 2 down, 2 up, until I get to the end, and that is where I have started from. So we're going to lace it up all around, and as you can see, I have left four rows out, and this will form part of the wrist, and when they gather they will look so beautiful. So just make sure you're taking 4. If you look here, I have skipped 3, so I need to go back and get my counting correct. So I'm gonna go all around until I get to where we started from, right here. Now I have come to the end, and now I'm going to tie this and cut my yarn, because at this point we are done with the whole project. I'm going to try my top on and show you how it fits me and how I will style it. So I need to cut this. You see how this part gathers beautifully. This is exactly what I was looking for. I was going for with this top, and I'm sure when I put it on, it will look beautiful on my wrist. This is how the top looks on me. And I have enjoyed working this tutorial so much, especially the sleeves. It took a little bit of time, but I did enjoy working it and I love the end product. If you have worked this top, remember to tag me on my socials, and thank you so much for being here for the growth. I'm sure by the time you're watching this video, we are at 10,000 subscribers, and I really do appreciate you for the growth, for making me grow, and for always supporting my channel. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the next one. My name is Marion. Bye.